Boom. All right, ladies and gentlemen, look, sometimes you just don't know what tomorrow's going to hold. And so when that's the case, you just got to have something to make sure that everything's going to be okay. So if you're worried about tomorrow, you don't know what's in store, but you need some safety net, you're going to want to pay attention to this one. Let's get this one started. Here we go.
Shut up and sit down.
Look, a business can give you everything you want in life: prestige, wealth, freedom. It can also take everything away from you. This show is for those who are willing to take that risk. These are the real life stories of entrepreneurs. But before we start, I have one small favor to ask. Please leave a comment. It can be advice, critiques, tips, feedback, or share this with someone, because your engagement is the most valuable and most powerful form of social currency. So thank you, and welcome to another episode of Business Bros. Hi, Business Bros. He's on a mission to reshape how we think about financial security, helping families protect their future while coaching advisors to do the same. With decades of experience and a heart for service, this expert brings clarity to complex planning strategies. So please, let's welcome to the show, Mr. Roy Snarr. All right, Roy, welcome to the program, my friend.
Hey, thanks. I wish I could have that type of welcoming every day.
Now it's recorded. You got it on MP3, so you just got to hit the replay button every morning. You'll be set, dude. You'll
show my kids. Look how cool Dad is. Look.
That's how it works. All right, man. Well, thank you for taking time out of your day to be on the show here with me. Let's jump into this thing. You know, the idea that we know tomorrow is guaranteed is kind of one of those we hope and we kind of pray, but we don't know for sure. All we know is that we've been dying since the day we were born. We don't know if tomorrow is going to be promised to us, and we don't know what the quality of tomorrow is going to bring to the table. So you're here on the show today. Can you share with people really quickly, what is it that you do for a living? How do you help people ensure tomorrow feels a little bit better, at least today?
Yes, I'm an expert in risk mitigation, and I developed a passion for this business because when I was about 14 years old, my mother became disabled. Somebody ran a stop sign, bam, led to a permanent disability. We lost virtually everything. And I was 14. This is during like the dot-com crisis. And I was worried about Pokemon cards, riding my bicycle. I had no idea about money or life or reality, but it always stuck with me. And then when I went to school, I studied various topics, but I was like, man, I wonder how we ended up losing like virtually everything from one single accident. And so then I started learning about insurance, financial services, stocks, everything under the sun. And I really developed a passion for like, what if I could help people protect against an event that's out of their control? That would be so rewarding. And then that led me into life insurance, annuities, long-term care, disability insurance, and all these other asset protection strategies.
You know, when I first got my very first job at Wells Fargo, I remember sitting with somebody and they were going through all the paperwork, your W-4 when you first get started, your I-9s, all that stuff. But then there was this one thing where they started talking about 401k and some Roths and do you want to be part of this life insurance thing? And, you know, this one doesn't have medical and this, it started getting really overwhelming and confusing. I'm sure I'm not the only one. And, you know, luckily for me, I went on a path very similar to yours where all of a sudden saying these big words didn't sound so scary. I started to understand what that means. And I know you talk to a lot of clients who get scared of what you're talking about simply because they don't speak the same dialogue, right? They don't have the same lexicon. They don't speak insurance. They don't speak financial planning. How do you help families kind of navigate this overwhelming process in the beginning when everything's okay so that they have security in place when things are not okay?
You know, I think it really comes down to just asking the right questions. And I'm very upfront, straightforward with people. And a lot of the planning that we do, it's not complicated. It's very simple. I just ask, if something were to happen to you today, out of your control, you're on the way to the grocery store, bam, you get hit by a car, now you're dead. Worst case scenario, okay? And then I'll ask people, how many people do you know throughout the course of your life that died unexpectedly? I said, we never know when God's going to call us home. It just happens. If that does happen, how would your family be financially? Right now, what would happen? Oh man, we would have a hard time, have to sell the house. Who's going to watch the kids? We got bills. Okay, what if there was a way to help mitigate that risk? So if you were to pass away, your family could have the same lifestyle until your kids graduate college. Would that be important to you? Yes, that would be important. Okay, so we've established the problem. We know that there's a need. Now we come up with the solution. And the solutions are very transparent. We work with over 75 different institutions. We just basically run a quote list and show everybody all of the options. We say, look, Yeah, it's a bill, but it's the only bill that will help pay for all of the other bills, right? If we all knew when we were going to die, we just buy a big policy the day before. Oh, we don't know.
Mm-hmm. And the thing about that, the whole idea of concept and planning is nobody plans on dying. Nobody plans on, actually, we all plan on dying. We just plan on it being happening somewhere around, 100 years old or somewhere way down the road. We don't think about it as, at 32, it was a random car accident. At 55, it was a random heart attack. Like the actual life of life happens, and we just don't exactly know what goes on. And I remember when I first got my insurance license, I'm life licensed. I remember having this conversation early on, and somebody told me, you got to realize that insurance, not the PNC side, but on the life side, is very much a love product, because people who have those that they might leave behind, those are the people who best are suited for life insurance products. But that's not always the case, is it?
Right. No, I know it's hard. It's hard to get people to understand the value of it. And I tell everyone, look, nobody needs life insurance or disability insurance or all that. It's a waste of money. And they go, what? I go, what do people need? And I go like this, cash. So what's the least expensive way to get the most amount of cash? It's insurance. I mean, it's a transfer of risk. Like, you have to have that foundation. And as long as you have a conversation with people to have them understand the need for it, then you don't have to worry about folks canceling in the future, and you have a really good relationship with them. And then ultimately, if you're in the business long enough and you process a death claim, it's emotional and life-changing. I remember one of the first death claim checks I delivered. I remember the conversation. It was almost like an argument with the husband and wife. I'm like, you need more. Like, even if you don't buy it from me, go online somewhere. You just need more. And this is just the math. And they finally caved in and got a bigger policy. And then the gentleman passed away unexpectedly, super healthy person. Wife called me, was crying, upset. And she goes, what did we end up doing again? I don't even remember. Long story short, it was a $2 million life insurance check. And she just lost it. She goes, now our daughter can go to college. We're totally fine. We're so thankful for it. So there's a lot of rewarding things. And to your point, nobody wants to think about this. Like, hey, let's go plan this weekend trip on the lake or go to the beach. Let's not plan, hey, what happens if I die? Right?
Yeah.
It's the reality of it. Like, I'm a very positive person. My wife's always just like, man, all you talk about is like, if somebody dies or the markets crash, like, what are they going to do? I'm like, hey, I'm the worst case scenario guy, but I'm everyone's best friend when something bad does happen, and we have that solution that we help them with.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where you're not going to bring somebody back, right? Obviously, if you could have that person's life instead of the cash, it'd be an easy transaction. People would do that all day long, but we don't have that privilege. And on the other hand, when somebody does finally pass away, because it's inevitable, we're all gonna. It happens to all of us. Yeah. There's the ability for the family that's left behind to grieve properly, not to grieve and also have to go, raise funds for putting someone in the ground and do car washes and all kinds of stuff, because there was no plan in play, and speaking to that, when it comes to building large family estates, there are also insurance products that we can use. How can we start off by first realizing that this is an initial love product that will help secure in case in the event of an untimely death? But on the flip side, how can we use life insurance policies to really build a plan for secure generational wealth down the road?
Yeah, that's a great point. So life insurance, there's a couple different levels to it. A lot of people think, oh, it's just a simple term life. I pay during the period. If I die, they pay. But we use them a lot in estate planning and wealth preservation tools, because depending on the net worth of the individual, you can actually have what's called an ILIT, like an irrevocable life insurance trust. So the trust owns the life insurance policy, mitigating the estate tax rulings, and then that trust pays into the estate upon the passing, and it helps take care of all the bills and everything else, where the family doesn't have to be forced to sell off other assets to pay for estate tax bills and everything else. That's one solution that we use a lot with. Another solution, even if the net worth isn't that high, a lot of different cultures, they will all pitch in and buy one policy. That way, when the parents or the grandparents pass away, that money gets passed back down 100% income tax free for the future generations to use. And this is very common. It's been used for decades, actually centuries, on the life insurance structure with very wealthy families. It's one of the best tools to preserve wealth and pass it down on an income tax free basis. The latter part of this too is business owners. A lot of business owners, they don't have any buy, sell, or key person in coverages. Like, how is your business going to run if your partner dies? Have you ever thought about that? And what are you going to do? Get a bridge loan? I mean, why don't you use life insurance? It's pennies on a dollar. So we use it for business succession planning with very large companies and also very small companies.
I've used it for very similar, and the conversation we had as business partners was, look, dude, I love you, man. You're awesome. I'm glad we're doing business together. I just don't know if I want to do business with your wife, right? And that's kind of one of those things, right? like if something happens to you and you pass away, I mean, she might be a great person and all, but I don't know, anything about the dynamics of how this operation will continue moving forward. So having some of these key man policies in place allows everybody to move forward, the business to get an influx of cash, tax-free, where it can go to a spouse or a remaining partner or whatever's there, where we can buy somebody out and the business can continue moving forward. Those are all great things. Let's flip it a little bit because we're talking about the death side. What about the whole idea of I'm getting older and I'm not dead yet, but it hurts to walk. It hurts to, I'm starting to like really feel the woes of aging. Tell me a little bit about long-term care. What's some of the biggest misconceptions that people have about long-term care, and how can it really benefit someone if they plan ahead of time to make sure that these pieces are in place?
Yeah, long-term care is a huge passion of ours. In fact, we're one of the leading agencies in the entire country for long-term care insurance production, because I personally lived through it 3 times. And we wrote an international best-selling book on long-term care as well. I mean, I never thought in a million years I'd write a book on long-term care, but we ended up doing it. And the reality is that Medicare only covers about 20 days of skilled nursing if you qualify for it. And then day 21 through 100 is a copay, and then you're on your own. Mm-hmm. So a lot of people have this misconception or negative connotation around long-term care because of the way it used to be, where you'd pay a premium, the rates would go up, and ultimately you could be priced out of the policy and the insurance companies kept it all. Well, those policies, as they are still around today, they're not very popular. Whereas today you can have what's called an asset-based long-term care policy, which is a guaranteed level premium. If you pass away, the family can get back all of the money. Even if you change your mind in the future, you can get all of your money back. But more importantly, if you happen to need it and you use it, you can spend the money however you choose. See, a lot of people have a misconception. They'll say, I'm going to self-insure. Well, there's 2 ways to do it. One way is with your own money in the markets or in a savings account that's unguaranteed, not leveraged, and not necessarily tax advantage. Or you can self-insure by having a guaranteed tax deductible, potentially also 100% income tax free, and leverage up to 10x. That's with an insurance company. So people have to understand you're still self-insuring with an insurance company. It's just on a much smarter level because they're not going to just give it to you.
Yeah.
One of the stories we always share is like, imagine if your homeowner's insurance person called you and they said, hey, guess what? There's going to be a storm that hits your neighborhood. So let's say they're 65 and they realize all this because they're starting to get achy and they realize, oh, Medicare doesn't cover everything. And the insurance broker says there's a storm that's going to hit your neighborhood and 50 to 70% of the homes going to be completely destroyed, totally wiped out. And now your home's paid off. So you don't even need homeowners insurance. But would you like to review your coverages? Oh, everybody would raise their hand. Yeah, just in case it happens to my house. Well, that's the story with long-term care. It's this storm that's going to hit 50 to 70% of people, depending on which statistic you look at, and it's going to completely financially destroy them. I mean, the average cost today, California or Texas, it's around $100,000 a year for full-time service. It's astronomically high. And the government's going to make you spend down your life savings before you're eligible for Medicaid. So there's ways to mitigate that.
That's a great analogy, by the way, because that's the truth. Like, we're right around the corner. We're getting older every single day. We're not getting any younger, and hopefully you're taking care of yourself throughout the way. But let's be honest, time works against you in almost every aspect. And so, yes, this is a ticking time bomb. It's going to happen. We're going to get older. So we've talked a little bit about the life insurance side. We've talked a little bit about the long-term care side. We haven't hit any of the PNC side, which is that's totally okay. That's your homeowners and that sort of other insurance stuff. But again, it comes back to that whole idea of this seems so complex. I definitely need help navigating through this process because you guys have just talked about all kinds of different insurance stuff. And I'm just thinking insurance was like with my car. Like, how do I even navigate this whole process? If you have a customer that comes up to you and they want a customized financial strategy, how do you kind of walk through that process? What can a client expect so that they feel at ease about going through and getting these things that they need?
You know, it's funny because we insure pretty much everything in life, including life. but we don't insure our retirements. There's also retirement insurance, utilizing annuities and other structures too, that you can have preservation of your principal. People don't think of that, and they're not necessarily become aware of that through their current advisors. And we do a lot of that planning as well. But where it all starts off as, number one, you have to cover your basis. A foundation is the most important part of the house, right? It holds up everything. So I have people all the time say, well, I'm going to invest in this index fund with my Roth IRA and I'm going to do really well. I go, yeah, you could. And statistically and historically, it'll be great. However, if you pass away in the interim, what's your family going to do? Well, they're going to blow through that savings. And so what you need to do first is have a solid foundation. If you passed away, you should have at least 10 years income replacement and all your debts paid off. Okay. That way, if something happens, your family's taken care of. And then above and beyond that, then yeah, you can start investing and doing some other things, but we have to build the foundation. So in a very simple conversation, we look at income replacement, which is the need for life insurance. And then from that point, we'll look at disability coverage. Like what happens if you don't die, but you get disabled? And it happens. Let's take a look at that. Once you get this foundation covered, yeah, go ahead and invest for the long term. We can show you some options for that, but you have to get the basis covered.
All right, well, I understand the value of insurance. I understand it's a love product that I want to protect my family. I understand that I'm getting older and I need to take care of myself in the long term. And at least I got somebody like Roy to navigate me through the process. But Roy, how can you help me balance living today while I'm alive right now, but still be preparing for tomorrow? I don't want all this stuff coming out of my pocket the whole time, man. How can you help me with that?
Well, I mean, if it was free, everybody would buy it, right? So exactly. One of the things we have to look at is budgeting. See, far too often, life insurance is missold. And I've been doing this for over 15 years. We've been top of the table MDRT. We've been doing a lot of policies, okay? And oftentimes it's missold, where somebody will try to say, hey, for a couple $100, you can have a little bit of cash value and you get a death benefit. Life insurance should be sold for its sole purpose of actual life insurance first. And the good part is, even if you're on a budget, policies like term life, they're so inexpensive. You could even just buy a 10-year term policy for just a couple $100,000 for $50-$60 a month, depending on your age, right? And so what I show people is like, look, it all comes down to being comfortable with it. We don't want this life insurance premium to be painful. We want it to feel like a Netflix bill, right? It's out of sight, out of mind. I can still live my life, okay? That's the number one rule that we always try to abide by, because if people overcommit, which is easy to do because they want the coverage, but it may be too expensive for them, we have to shorten the lengths down. So budgeting is number one. We take a look at their income versus their expenses. Where are they spending the money? If they have to cut back on a one dinner a month to pay for a life insurance policy, let's be real, right? If we go out to San Diego together, bring our wives together, I mean, we're going to spend $200 easy. It's like, well, maybe I skip that and, buy some Keystone and make my own party and keep it cheap, right?
Yep.
We take that $200 and put it towards a life insurance to protect our financial future. One of the easy ways I help people to understand this is like, I say, what if like 1% of your total gross income could protect 100% of it for the next decade? Would that be important for you? And they go, what do you mean? Let's say they make $100,000 a year, right? 1% of that is $1,000. For $1,000 a year, you can have $1 million policy, right? Depending on your age and health and all that other things. But I break it down so people can understand that it's not that expensive. And number two, that it's the best investment they can make.
It 100% is, because again, this is something that's going to happen down the long haul. In fact, this is one of those industries that's kind of near and dear to my heart. My background is in taxes, and as I started doing people's tax returns, it kind of opens the door, very similar to your situation, where I start asking questions about, well, this happened in my life and this happened in my life. Sure. In fact, it got to the point where my brother and I, he recently passed his CFP test, so he's in a very similar situation. Now he's getting started as a service provider here. We built a P&C insurance agency, but he's going to the life side a little bit more. It's a whole different ball game. You're also advising other financial advisors to help grow their practice. And it's clear that you're passionate behind what it is you do. What's your approach to helping financial advisors expand their service offerings to help them kind of grow a business of their own?
Yeah. So we actually built, so after about 10 years of doing this full time, I said, you know what? I want to be able to help some other agents here. And so we launched a training academy and a platform, and it's the only one in the country that focuses on asset-based long-term care and annuities and life insurance. All these other academies and training groups, it's all about how to manage somebody's money or how to sell final expense. This is the only one of its kind. And we literally have over 100 agents every single week on our calls. And we have the live national conference once a year. It's the only live national conference in the entire country that focuses on asset preservation. It's a lot of fun. So we've been able to influence thousands of agents and advisors. We have a fairly large agency with agents all over the country now, helping them to do insurance the correct way, to do planning, to ask the right questions, to do proper suitability, financial fact finding, all of the 9 yards. And even though I don't sell Medicare or PNC, that's still a big part of what we talk about. It's like, look, you should reshop your broker if you haven't talked to them. Make sure you have adequate coverage. Like, people don't even check what their dwelling limits are on their home. Like, I just got an extra 50% excess on mine because I didn't have it before. I'm like, the replacement cost is going to be more than that, but they won't give me more. So I had to reshop it. And so little things like that to really help people. And if you can influence the agent and advisor, they can help influence their clients. And then you make a big impact on so many lives that you don't even know that person. So it's very rewarding in that sense, because it took us a long time to get where we're at, and we had to learn the hard way. So we try to help other agents and advisors not go down the hard path as much. Like, hey, look, here's how we wasted money. We stumbled. We learned the hard way. Let us show you exactly how we don't, not to do that. Okay. Take our advice. We've been there and we've done that.
Let me ask you about the revenue side for a new agent coming into this industry, because I know on the PNC side, those premiums are paid every single month. Those are commissions that are earned every single month. And I know on the financial planning side, on the life side, there's a number of different ways that you can earn revenue as well. It could be a flat fee, it could be assets under management, it could be commission based as well. What's the best structure for a new agent jumping into this industry to approach? I know everybody's going to be a little bit different, but from your experience, what do you see works really well?
Great question. A lot of agents ask me, like, they want to jump into annuities, right? And we do a large volume of annuities every year. Our agency does over $100 million a year in annuities. And so obviously annuities are great because it helps preserve the client's retirement. The compensation is very nice, and it's paid directly by the insurance company. So the client doesn't even pay us. Total win-win. Like, our average comp per policy is about $7,500 in commissions. However, to get to that spot where you can adequately sell annuities, it takes experience. So we always recommend agents, hey, get a foundation built, start selling life insurance. Life insurance is pretty straightforward. You pay, you die, they pay. Right? Let's get the foundation down on life insurance. And when you're first starting in your career, I always recommend agents going more towards the mortgage protection side of life insurance versus the final expense, because there's a larger need for the coverage because they have a mortgage, generally a family, and start selling some term life to help them. Because usually families just starting off, they're not going to have the resources to allocate towards like a permanent or a cash value life insurance. They're just going to need some coverage to help get them through while they're building up this next nest egg. So start with the term life sales, build a foundation up, and then slowly migrate yourself into the senior marketplace, either with Medicare or by doing Social Security or Medicare classes at the library. And that's how you can help people with their retirement income planning. So it's a step-by-step process. And realistically, if you're brand new, you just got your license, you should not have an expectation to make more than $50,000 in your first year. And that would be absolutely knocking it out of the park. Like, this business takes time. And there's so many fake gurus out there, and people that say, oh, you can make 300 grand your first year. Yeah, if your uncle's rich and he buys an annuity from you, maybe. But the reality is it takes time. Like, it took me 5 years to hit 6 figures in this business. It was a long time. And then it took me almost 8 years to hit 7 figures. And so it takes time, but if you just stay with it, it's almost impossible to fail.
Yeah, and it's one of those businesses that again, it has a negative stigma sometimes, because you'll talk to an insurance agent, they'll sell you your term policy, and then you never hear from them again. But if you want to actually grow your life practice, you're starting at the beginning where you're talking about selling life insurance. But when you do your annual review, you have become a different agent that next year. Now it's not just the term policy that you're aware of. Now you've had a year's worth of education, a year's worth of talking to different clients. Now there's different avenues that you can recommend, different places that you can go. And this is kind of where you're talking about, it took you 5 years to get there, but now, it's funny because anytime you talk to really successful salespeople, it almost looked like they're not doing anything, and yet the business is coming in, but you didn't see the 5 years before where they're planting all the different seeds that had to come in.
I door knock for life insurance, man. I did everything. Yeah. Well, the other thing too, talking about following up, I tell agents this all the time. It works in any business, P&C, real estate, doesn't matter what business you're in. If you're selling a product or a service, give somebody an annual review card. People thought I was crazy. I send annual review cards out to every single one of my term life clients and all my other clients. Nothing changes on term, as long as they're still alive. But I say, hey, guess what? Just want to check in with you. Happy policy anniversary. We're in your 3rd year. And by the way, I want to update you on about when your policy expires. And people go, what do you mean expires? I get them on the phone. Then I say, hey, look, is this coverage enough for you? Has things changed? Did you have a kid? Did you get a new job with higher income? Oh, do you want to convert a portion of your policy? So those first 5 years before I even hit the 6 figures, and now 15 years into it, we have a fairly large book of over 4,000 clients. We go back through and we comb through all the term policies and we start converting them. And we generate a few $100,000 a year from our prior book of business just by following up, to your point, just checking in with them, saying hi. Yeah, I got paid one time. That's it on the policy. But that's short-term thinking. They may have a best friend who just retired. Who knows, right? So
yeah, there's always different opportunities, different options that open up. It's the follow-up, it's the connection, the relationship. Every successful entrepreneur that I've talked to always talks about the relationships, but it has to be built both ways. It has to be you, the entrepreneur, reaching out, following up, have a system in place to do those types of things. So Roy, I know there are going to be agents out there that are looking to kind of grow their industry, be part of a group that's already been successful. If they got advisors out there that are looking to grow, what's the first step they should take to kind of level up their system, work with you? How can they find out more about what you do? Or if they're a client and they're like, hey, you know what? Life insurance is something I need to do. Roy seems like a cool dude. Let me talk to him. Well, how can they do that?
Yeah. So the easiest spot, luckily I have a very weird last name, Snarr. Just go roysnarr.com or just type my name into Google and I'm everywhere. So the roysnarr.com website is consumer and agent friendly. Specifically for agents is annuityproducers.com. I own that company. It's an event company and we do weekly trainings. It's free for everyone. So annuityproducers.com is specific for the agent. And then the roysnarr.com is for consumer and agent.
Let me ask you one of these final questions, and you know, we're living in a world of AI. AI is taking over a lot of different industries, and everybody's trying to make themselves, you know, AI proof. If you're a writer, all of a sudden you're scared. If you're creating images, all of a sudden you're scared. If you're a lawyer, all of a sudden you're a little bit nervous on what these things can do. Where do you see the future of insurance and the financial advisory business? Where and how you positioning yourself to be successful?
Yeah, so ultimately it comes down to relationships, right? Because the way I view the insurance practice, it's not a transactional, it's a relationship building system. Because for example, if I could use AI to find the cheapest brake pads in town, right? Something simple where I don't need a relationship. But if I'm talking about repositioning a large portion of my family assets, or I need adequate coverage for life insurance and I want to get consulted from that, I'm not going to get it from an AI bot. Now, AI is great. We use it as well. And I do feel that in time, it's going to be efficient enough through the connections with all the other insurance carriers. There'll be a unique platform where they could say, hey, what's the best MIGA annuity rate? Or what's the best term rate for me? Here's my health conditions. And it will be able to find that. But there's something special about being able to talk to someone. And the closest I can relate this to is like, take like SelectQuote, for example, or Ethos. So there's all these online shops and they work great for people, but you don't have a personal touch or any guidance there, right? And you're just another number to those folks. Whereas in the insurance space, it's like, look, I can offer you more policy options, give you personal consultation, and I don't charge you. So there's a real value add there for sure. So AI is going to help our industry. I think it might scare some agents, but I'm actually looking forward to it. I'm going to embrace it because there's nothing we can do to change it. It's going to happen, and use it to our advantage to show the transparency of the industry.
Man, it's like a Mario star, right? All you got to do is touch it and go full speed forward and keep going. Superpower, dude. That's how it works. Roy, thank you very much for being on the program today, man. Any final thoughts before we head out?
Well, I was just going to say this. If you're a consumer out there listening to it, or a business owner or an entrepreneur, you have to get some life insurance for yourself. If you're a solo person just starting off, whether you buy it from one of us or you just go online, just get some coverage. Because especially in entrepreneurship, you are the business. And if you're gone, who's going to take it over? Right? Is your spouse going to take it over? Do they have the appropriate licensing to take it over? It's a specialized field. Just get some coverage. Just suck it up, pay the premium. It'll be worth it. Because if you did die and you don't have it and you're looking down from heaven, you're like, man, I wish I would have done that. It's too late. Got to get it before you're dead. Okay. If you're an agent out there and you want to take your business to the next level, we're the only agency that actually trains agents, and we do the same thing. We are out there in the field working with people, same objections, same challenges, same marketing spends, everything. It's real life experience that we translate to you to help you grow and scale.
Boom. That's it. I think we have a question. What was the name of the website? annuityproducers.com?
Yes, that's for the annuity side, I think. Yeah, for the agent side.
Perfect.
Yep.
There you go, Elizabeth, annuityproducers.com. And then for more general information, you guys can check out Roy's website, roysnarr.com, scrolling across the bottom. Roy, thank you very much for being on the program today. Ladies and gentlemen, Roy's exactly right. Unfortunately, you've been dying since the day you were born. We just don't know when that's going to happen. And if you have loved ones out there, which I'm sure you do, even if it's parents, brothers, sisters, probably not the dog, but maybe somebody to take care of the dog, right? All those different things, you're going to want to make sure something's left behind, something's taken care of, so that the little ones, they can worry about, mourning you and not having to worry about paying some bills. I promise you, it's going to be a lot easier on your family dealing with you passing away if there's a check in the mail or a check in their hand than them having to go take care of those things. And people like Roy are out there helping you do those things, not just on the life end side, but the full financial planning process. So make sure you guys check out roysnarr.com. Roy, thank you very much for being on the program today. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace. And we're out.
It's over. Go home.
Is your business in need of marketing? Try starting a podcast, but not just any podcast. Podcast like a pro. We can show you how to take your business from being invisible to becoming a brand people trust. Go to www.businessbros.biz to get started today.